Now that we've explained much about the world of Dark Souls 2, we'll offer you some tips to help you get through it. Don't worry, we won't spoil anything. Dark Souls is very much about exploration and learning how to overcome the enemies and traps, but we'll just help you improve your skills so it all won't seem so hard.
So here we go, starting with combat. Number 1. Learn how to bait enemy attacks. Moving into striking range of enemies and quickly moving back or striking enemy shields when they're raised will often cause them to launch into a combo of strikes. This is called baiting. Once the enemy finishes their attack moveset, they will be open to attack as they recover. Even better, you can learn to roll through one of their combos and be able to go for the backstab or heavy R2 attack for maximum damage. Remember, nearly all enemy attacks can be rolled through, but this is only if you get the timing right. However, be aware that rolling consumes stamina, so be sure to focus on evasive movement as well, as this uses no stamina at all. Baiting is one of the most important parts of combat. It allows you to become familiar with an enemy's moveset, and it also helps you practice moving your character around, often through groups of multiple enemies, all without being hit.
Number 2, try to separate enemies in combat. You're always better off fighting enemies one-on-one. If you see 2 enemies in the distance, then move towards one first and try to take one out before the other. To aid in this, you can use items like knives or the bow and arrow, or bolts and crossbows to hit the first target, which will draw him towards you so you can finish him off alone. Knives are excellent for this type of combat. For long distances, use the bow and arrow. For instances where multiple enemies are unavoidable, use your skill and maneuver them into tight corridors or doorways where they can only attack you one at a time. You can also bait the closest enemy and quickly attack them before the other enemies can get into range. Remember not to be greedy. As you swing your weapon, the enemy is recovering.
Number 3. Most enemies function on a distance-based awareness system for aggression. This means you can inch forward towards one enemy, possibly not alerting others nearby to your presence. As soon as enemies become aware of you, they will usually come to you to attack, unless you use ranged weapons like bows or arrows or sorcery. You can then dispatch them far easier in a one-on-one fashion.
Number 4, have your shield up only when necessary. Holding your shield up slows stamina recovery. All melee combat and sorcery uses stamina, so you need as much of it in combat as possible. In learning the animations of attacks of your enemies, you should become familiar with the fact that you only need to block exactly when you're being hit. During combat, I'll just usually tap L1 to raise my shield in the very small window of when I can be hit, which means my stamina is always recovering as fast as it can. This makes a huge difference in combat with multiple enemies or against bosses who constantly attack.
Number 5. Experiment with damage potential and reduction of both weapons and armor. All weapons have set stats for how much damage they do, and you can check these when browsing for weapons at the blacksmith or any other dealer by checking them in your menu when you find one in the world. Find a balance between the weapon with the most damage potential and the one with the moveset you favor most. Personally, I can't go past the battle axe at the start of the game. It has a great moveset for R1 attacks and R2 heavy attack, a short recovery time between attacks, and can be upgraded to do good levels of damage. You might like lighter weapons, or maybe weapons with a bit more reach, or maybe weapons that favor a dexterity build. However, it's important to check all equipment available to you and see what suits you best.
Okay, now we can move on to your character. Number 1, of high importance to anyone new to Dark Souls is leveling up whenever possible. While you have to warp back to Majula, leveling means that your character can do more damage and take less damage. There's no avoiding the fact that you are going to get hit a lot and die in this game, but leveling your character up will help you do this a lot less. If you want to use specific weapons, be aware of their stat requirements and level up accordingly. There's no real shame in starting another game as well, having realized that you spent your souls the wrong way, or bought the wrong weapons, or even killed the wrong NPC. There's also an item you'll get early on called the Soul Vessel, which allows you to reallocate your stats.
Try to keep your equipment load below 60%. Your equipment load is the weight of your equipped gear as a percentage of your maximum. It only includes items on your person, not those in your inventory. That is, selected shields, armor, weapons, and items. At over 60% equipment load, your character starts to move slower and roll a lot slower. You're less maneuverable and more likely to get hit. And just because it's heavier doesn't mean it's better. Compare the weight of the armor in relation to its ability to defend against physical and magical attacks. Don't forget to level up your stat responsible for load, and also, where possible, look for rings that affect your load. While some Dark Souls players liked characters of stone, I always valued maneuverability, and I think it's always better to be faster than your enemy.
Number 3. In early parts of the game, it pays to upgrade your armor. This is for 2 reasons. Firstly, because it increases your physical, magical, and elemental defenses almost to the point of far better armor. But it also adds no weight to your load ratio, unlike stronger replacements. If you're going to get hit, and you will get hit, at least ensure you take as little damage as possible.
And number 4, look for a 100% damage reduction shield. All shields have percentage reduction for types of damage, and this is either physical or elemental. For example, a 95 physical reduction shield will mean you're still taking 5% damage while blocking attacks. You can't always roll because of the need to conserve stamina, and among multiple enemies you might roll out of one attack into another, so you really need to find a shield to block 100% of damage. Unfortunately, these seem rarer in Dark Souls 2. You can also upgrade your shield, just like your armor, and this also helps in its ability to protect you from damage.
Lastly, a little bit about the game world. Number 1, explore all areas of the world. Look for invisible walls, hidden paths, and areas that look like they can't be accessed. You may see a soul resting in an area that looks out of reach. Chances are that this soul or item is something of extreme value. If you can, rotate the camera right around to see if you're missing anything above or below you. You never know what you'll find. Number 2, locked stones will usually unlock rooms with items in them or activate useful functions in the environment, or even could unlock whole new levels. Buy them whenever you see them in an NPC's shop.
Number 3, read item descriptions. Not many people do this, but the people that do find it really rewarding. It may have some hidden messages, or perhaps a meaning that explains its usefulness, or perhaps some key to the lore of Drangleic. Number 4, talk to all NPCs. In fact, make a nuisance of yourself by exhausting their possible conversations. You may unlock some information you need to proceed, or you may even be given an item.
Ah, yes. I have not thanked you for humoring me the other day. This is for you. Of course, I have no idea what it is.
Also, it's just generally a good idea to buy something from each and every NPC you come across. Some may offer additional information after you do so, or maybe even perform other services for you at other locations.
That's everything to bring you up to speed. We left plenty for you to discover on your own. For more information on covenants or crafting, be sure to skip back to that section of the video.
Or check out the Dark Souls 2 wiki. The Souls games are incredibly deep and we won't know everything about them until a few months or years after release. We hope all that helps, adventurers. Go seek misery.
Yeah!